And another piece of emerging news this weekend is that we may well be seeing this guy, Nico Rosberg, in the second Williams seat alongside Mark Webber next year. Nico, do you feel you're ready for Formula One?
May well is the big word. Yeah, I think I'm definitely ready. Maybe not 100% at this stage, but after a lot of winter testing, I would definitely be 100% ready, yeah.
And, of course, Rosberg, famous family. How does your dad feel about potentially you being in a Williams?
Oh, well, he's generally been very, very pleased with the whole season. I mean, I think he's been more nervous than me throughout the season, and yeah, he's been very happy because, I mean, winning the GP2 championship was a huge success for me, and it was a big step up the ladder in my career also. And yeah, now we just have to wait and see what Frank decides for next year. There's a good chance, and we just have to see what he decides.
Thanks very much, Nico.
You are back with us at the awesome Shanghai International Circuit for qualifying. The track is a little bit slippery. The Chinese Grand Prix starts at 7 tomorrow morning. We are with you here on ITV1 from 6. Who will start where? Let's find out now from Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Thank you, Jim. Evening, everybody. Well, the long road home of Formula One over 19 races reaches its conclusion here in Shanghai in China. 3.3-mile circuit designed by Hermann Tilke. As we've heard, 7 left-hand corners, 7 right-hand corners. The average lap speed, something around 127 miles an hour. So putting it very much in mid-table, really, in terms of the average speed. But on the back straight, the cars do hit around 210 miles an hour before throwing out the anchors into that hairpin there. Very, very tight hairpin. And the final part of the lap. This is Takuma Sato out on track, because he was excluded from the results of the Japanese Grand Prix after he collided with Jarno Trulli. One or two people thinking that Sato might not actually race in this weekend's Grand Prix, but as it's his final race for BAR Honda, I'm not sure that was ever really in doubt, but could do really with going out on a high, couldn't he, Takuma Sato? Only 1 point scored in 2005, not a great year.
No, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in Formula One. There are a lot of support in Japan, and probably I've seen his manager wandering around with the Jordan or Midland crew this weekend and bosses, so a Midland Toyota wouldn't surprise me too much. Dreadful colour scheme on this guy. They've changed their colours for this race, and looks a bit of a mess, I think. But anyway, Sato then on track, and as you say, James, he really needs to pull his best out here this weekend.
Well, his 8/10 down on the fastest first sector time we saw this morning. That was set by Kimi Raikkonen. For reference, a 1:33.212 is the fastest time we've seen so far in free practice. And, well, the BAR Honda team are certainly not best of the rest this weekend, as they have been in qualifying the last few Grand Prix. Certainly Red Bull Racing are looking very strong behind the McLarens and the Renaults. And Ferrari as well could spring a minor surprise. I don't think you're likely to see any real fireworks from Ferrari, but they could get themselves up towards the sharp end of the grid. As Sato hits the anchors from 210 miles an hour down to just 50-odd miles an hour through that hairpin.
We've seen both BAR drivers locking their front brakes instantly on hitting them into that braking zone. No such problems for Sato this time around. Whether they've got a different system or not, I don't know. But Sato goes over the line on a 37.0, and I suspect that'll end up being horrendously slow.
Well, that is a striking time, I have to say. A 35.2 he managed this morning in free practice, so unless he's put an enormous amount of fuel in the car. It is quite windy out on the racetrack. The flags are fluttering.
Montoya's on the main straight now. He's on the main straight now.
Just letting Sato know where Juan Montoya is. A big part of the game, obviously, there is not blocking the car coming through behind you. You've got to try and save fuel on your way back to the pits, but not go too slowly.
Yeah, they were penalised. I think it was back in Turkey, wasn't it, when Sato got in the way of the next car. Montoya then down in to the tricky turn 1. You've got to sort of hug the white line on the inside, then let it breathe out a little bit and back in again. He's really fighting that car, James. We've had a practice session from the support race here, and well, they really do change the chemical reaction, the way that the track meets the Formula One tyres when he puts something much heavier and with a harder tyre on the track for an hour. And I think Montoya really struggling here.
Well, Montoya, a man who's really turned his season round after a difficult start, wins, of course, at Silverstone and Monza. He's been on pole as well at Spa in Belgium. Difficult for him, though, going out so early after crashing on the first lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. A double whammy of a penalty, really, for him. It doesn't look to me, Martin, as though this track is particularly fast at the moment. It's not giving the grip the drivers were finding during the free practice. Sato obviously is disappearing rapidly in the rear-view mirrors compared to Montoya's time after 2 sectors, but this is slower than Raikkonen managed this morning. This is heading for a high 133, possibly a low 134, so the speed not yet there in the racetrack for Juan Montoya. This is quite important for the Constructors' Championship battle. McLaren 2 points behind Renault, and they need Montoya to get a big result this weekend.
He's running a little bit wide at the hairpin and cost him a tenth or two. Interestingly, he's changing about 18.5, and he was geared to 17,800 down the back straight. That's lower than I thought it would be. Montoya goes comfortably fastest. That's more in the range we were expecting. The fastest lap earlier today was a 1:33.2. So the track is quite clearly, I mean, he made a couple of downshifts where I didn't expect him to be downshifting at all on that lap. Struggling for grip at this time.
I think another factor at the moment is there's quite a strong headwind, 3.3 meters per second. And that's quite strong. As I said before, the flags fluttering around the grandstands. Reasonable sized crowd here today, 120,000 expected tomorrow. Jarno Trulli on track 14 times out of the 18 Grand Prix so far this season. He has qualified in the top 6. He's using the upgraded Toyota, a car he doesn't like quite as much as Ralf Schumacher. The idea of this car is to give them a baseline for next year's car. Toyota pushing very hard indeed in their pursuit of getting amongst the front runners. Confirmed, whatever happens here this weekend, as 4th in the Constructors' Championship. And this really has been a tremendous season for them. Tremendous progress for the Toyota team.
Haven't really been troubling the top 10 through most of free practice, though, have they? It's not. I don't think they've really got their package hooked up here weekend. This weekend. He was already 3 or 4 tenths down on Montoya, who we know has done an ordinary lap. Anyway, at the moment, P1 35.1 minute 35.1, and he's dropped another tenth or 2 in the middle sector.
Yeah, Jarno Trulli has had a fantastic year and widely acknowledged as being the most consistent qualifier so far in 2005. This is this long back straight. It's full throttle from halfway through that long curve leading onto it, and that's almost a mile in total of full throttle. You see, it seems to go on forever. The heat haze. Look at the bumps where the pressure of the cars hitting the brakes, and they really are a joy to watch these things under heavy braking. It's amazing how they keep the whole thing so gathered up. Enormous amount of energy going on in a Formula One car. Trulli hurls it out of the final corner under the media centre wing. Across the line, a 1:36.044 for Jarno Trulli. And
RPM 12, RPM 12. We're at the P2 now. 8 tenths down from Montoya. Save fuel. The next car hasn't started the lap yet.
Trulli, another driver then to go a second slower than he did in free practice this morning. So, well, all season long we've seen them generally matching the times they do in the final free practice. It's why it's been a good barometer so far, but either they're all doing different fuel for qualifying, or more likely the track has lost quite a bit since this morning's session. Here's Antonio Pizzonia, Brazilian driver, in his 5th outing this season for BMW Williams. Anyone remember Nick Heidfeld? He started out the year driving this car, but he got injured in a testing accident, and then while he was recuperating, he was hit by a motorcycle whilst out on his mountain bike, and that put him out for the rest of the season. He will be back next year at the wheel of a BMW. We don't yet know who his teammate will be. Pizzonia not too confident of holding on to the second Williams seat. We think we'll see Nico Rosberg in there, as we were hearing just from Ted Kravitz. But Pizzonia's not really... it's taken him a while to get up to speed around this racetrack. He's never been here before, but relatively close to Mark Webber through free practice.
Yeah, Pizzoni had a strong run, didn't he? Was it Monza, where he went quite well, and since then we've seen him off the road a lot, making several mistakes. And in fact, at least twice this weekend he's been off the road too. Another driver then, a full 8 tenths down, and the times are very disappointing, aren't they? Last year's pole was a 1:32.4, so we're not within, we're just about within 3 seconds of that at the moment. They're really struggling out there.
Well, we've got only 12 of the 20 drivers on the grid this weekend who actually know exactly who they will be driving for next year. In that phase of the year when there's a lot of moving around and teams looking around to see who's the best option for them. For sure, more than some of those 8 will find their way back onto the grid next year. Some will be lost. perhaps Pizzoni will be one of the ones that might go off to America. He crosses the line in 3rd place. That's a 1:36.4, and that is 1.3 seconds slower than he went this morning. So we probably should discard this morning's times at this point and just look at what's happening here. Montoya fastest, Trulli 2nd, Pizzoni 3rd, Sato 4th. As Albers starts his flying lap, let's hear from Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, just very quickly before we watch Albers' lap, that suspension failure that Pizzoni had yesterday was exactly the same thing as put Heidfeld out of the rest of this season. So concerned were Williams, they've actually had to fly new wishbones out overnight. They only arrived at the circuit about an hour ago.
Albers really struggling to control that car in turn 2, completely sideways. The grip just absolutely not there at all as we ride on board with him. Minardi's 340th Grand Prix, they've never won one. Like the Sauber team, you can see how much difficulty Albers is having getting any kind of grip on this racetrack.
Whoa, they're all at sea, and of course they go straight into Parc Ferme after this, meaning they can't change the cars at all except for a little bit of front wing angle if they want, but he's not troubling the racing line at all through turn 7. This is the tricky little 8 and the easy 9, and he'll be relieved to have a bit of straight, I'd imagine.
Certainly will. This is the final corner, absolutely critical corner here in Shanghai. A long right-hander, almost 360 degrees. They go right round themselves and back out onto the back straight. And obviously the speed that you come out of this final corner is vital to the speed that you can carry down the straight. There you see Pizzoni recovering to the pits. Don't expect that he will get in the way of Albers. And, you know, it's interesting with this single lap qualifying, Martin, because of the rules here with engine penalties and other things that move cars around on the grid. Albers has only qualified last on 5 occasions out of 18 this year. Normally you would expect Minardi's to be right at the back of the grid, but only 5 times Albers has been there.
Yeah, there have been times over the history of the team where they've been in the hunt from time to time, where they just had a good engine and chassis package, but generally speaking, yeah, they tended to populate the rear end of the grid, haven't they?
There's Paul Stoddard. This is his final weekend as a team principal. Has sold the team to Red Bull, of course, the drinks manufacturer who already has one team on the grid. I understand that the team will be called Scuderia Toro Rosso next year, which is Italian for Red Bull. Get it? And certainly at least one of their drivers will be Scott Speed, the American, coming in, quite an exciting young driver. Well, everybody's slow at the moment. Takuma Sato is 4th fastest. Let's find out from Louise what's going on out there.
Taka, quite a difference in from your lap time this morning. Is that down to the car, or have the circuit conditions changed?
It was very slippery. There was unbelievably slippery, to be honest. So it was a difficult session. So obviously the lap time wasn't particularly stunning, but I enjoyed in the last race of the BR Honda of the qualifying 2005.
Watched by teammate Thiago Monteiro and the entire Jordan team on their final outing as Jordan. Next year it becomes Midland team. Narain Kardakayan, the Indian driver, the first Indian in Formula One, comes to the end of a long chapter in his rookie season. A season of highs and lows. Certainly the early part of the year was strong. He's lost his reference point a few times since then. This car, another which is going to struggle to find grip out on this racetrack. Just being out on the track yesterday afternoon and watching them, the Minardis and the Jordans are really struggling for grip. What's interesting about this team is that they have developed this car. It's a pretty old chassis now, but they've developed it and kept pace to some degree with the rate of development in Formula One, but unable to make any jumps forward in competitiveness. And obviously that's what they're all hoping next year with Midland coming in and hopefully spending some more money. That's what the team will bring, but at the moment it very much is a case of show me the money. Everybody waiting to see what Alex Schneider, the boss, is going to do and how much of his money he's going to put into this team. Kardakayan almost a second down on Montoya, who's fastest at the moment.
Completely different styles in this corner as they some are coming low, others are getting right up top. Kardakayan did a bit of both actually in that corner. Just some of them are squirting it early in the middle to the first part of it and taking advantage there and giving up a bit at the end. It's really just depends on how the balance of your car is then. Looking at the braking zone, if anybody didn't stand board there really, just to see the rate of deceleration of these cars is mind-blowing. On a wet day it sometimes pulls the teardrop out of the corner of your eye onto the back of your visor. Such is the retardation, it's extraordinary. Kardakayan goes P4 at this time, then comfortably ahead of Sato and Albers.
Well, this is not at all what we expected from this final qualifying session of 2005. The track isn't giving the grip. Certainly, designer Herman Tilke thought it would get faster and faster as the weekend goes on. It's warm enough out there, but very, very slippy. Here's Robert Dornbos, Minardi, hosting a barbecue tonight in the paddock for all comers in Formula One. Everybody is welcome. There'll be a traditional Aussie barbecue with quite a lot of activities going on around it. A sad moment, a poignant moment in many ways. Dornbos, yet another one of the rookies. He came in mid-season for Patrick Friesacker. It seems like a different lifetime that Friesacker was a Formula One driver. When his wallet ran out of talent somewhere around mid-season, Dornbos got the ride, and I've been reasonably impressed with Dornbos. He's had a few problems in qualifying just when the pressure has got to him, but his race performances have been quite strong.
Yeah, he's certainly got this Minardi hooked up better than Albers had around the track. How is he doing on his sector times? He's half second up on Albers, his teammate, which is really the only reference point you can give him, I think. And in the middle part of the lap, he's about the same as his teammate. So, but the car looks altogether more settled, doesn't it, than the sister Minardi car?
Certainly does. Formula One car that doesn't seem to move around too much is one that's generally going pretty quickly. Down the back straight comes Dornbos. You can see a car at the back of your screens just starting his lap. 3 of them at one point on the same main straight. Kaltakayan recovering, Dornbos doing a lap, and Montero warming up for a lap. So he's going to catch Dornbos quite quickly, actually, I think, at this rate. Here comes Dornbos out of the final corner. Will he go ahead of Albers? No, he doesn't. His final sector was almost a second slower than his teammates. So a great letdown for him at the end. And he is out-qualified by teammate Christian Albers. He's going to get caught fairly soon by Thiago Montero.
Yeah, I don't know where Dornbos lost all of that. It's, as you say, over a second in just in one sector. So, and yeah, a poor effort there. Then Montero, Eddie Jordan, we're missing already, and of course we're going to be missing the Jordan name as of next season. What can he do with this car?
Riding on board with him. His season is, well, the highlight obviously standing on the podium in that rather odd race at Indianapolis where only 6 cars took the finish, but for me the highlight surely that single point he scored at Spa. He was in it that weekend, competitive, 8th place in a Jordan. He felt like he won the World Championship, and of all the rookies I think Montero is probably the standout this season. Certainly he's got stronger as the year's gone on, and if he does maintain his place next year, then he deserves it.
It's been horrible this lap so far, absolutely horrible. The front end will not grip. He can't get the nose of the car to go anywhere, and it's just washing out more and more as the corner unravels. And well, Montero really struggling.
Onto the back straight then for the final ever Jordan qualifying lap in Formula One. 250 Grand Prix, 9 victories, 4 wins, 19 podiums, even a couple of pole positions in the glory days of the past. A chapter closes tomorrow that will close for good as Montero comes out of the final corner. Jordan mechanics watching. He goes for the line and goes 7th, some way behind teammate Narain Kaltakayan, who did a 36.7. That's a 39.2 for Montero. He splits the Minardis. An awful lap, really, in terms of the way the car was behaving itself. Ran wide, of course, into the final hairpin. That's where a lot of time was lost. And Ted Kravitz, what can you tell us?
Well, more grim news to report down here at Sauber. They're completely baffled in practice about the car. It was totally inconsistent on new tyres. They were saying it was going from understeer on one lap to all over the place with oversteer on the next one. And worse, they can't seem to find a way out of it here in qualifying.
Yeah, you have to say, Jacques Villeneuve has really been struggling today in free practice. He was down at the back. He was splitting the Minardis in free practice. Let's take a look at this car and just see what's going wrong.
There's quite a lot of developments. I was reading his press statements about, yeah, I didn't like the new car at all. I'm not sure it was a new car as such, but obviously a lot of new bits, and he's just not found a way. I mean, they've had 2 dry days here, so plenty of running in terms of as much as they could do given the 7 sets of tyres, dry tyres they're allowed for the weekend, and of course minding their engine mileage as well. But Villeneuve, another one very, very wide in turn 6 and 7.
Did a 1:36.4 this morning. If he could do that now, it would put him in 3rd place out of 8 that have gone so far. Certainly hoping that BMW will say something soon about the contract which he feels he holds. It's a 2-year contract. Obviously the team has been sold. Saab has been sold to BMW, so next year will be the first year as BMW, and Saab and Villeneuve has a watertight contract, but Saab, no noise at all coming out of BMW about their plans for next year. They've announced Nick Heidfeld. They have not announced who the second driver is. Villeneuve says it's putting pressure on him. He doesn't like it. It's quite unnecessary, but the more time goes on, the more you ask the question. Breaking then, little puff of smoke from Villeneuve. He's been having a few problems getting the car slowed down into that hairpin throughout the free practice sessions. What is this going to do for him? His final outing in the Sauber, a 36.7 puts him 5th fastest.
It's making Kain's effort look.
Okay, Jacques, your position is 5. Do a slow lap. I will come back with the position of the car behind you.
He's already done a slow lap, mate. It was his single lap qualifying, unfortunately, because he's behind Kain in the Jordan. And, well, he's managed to get it just ahead of Sato, though. So it's really, well, extraordinary slow laps, James, isn't it? Really, I'm not sure what's going on out there at all. It seems as if they're all finding something they've not experienced today.
Certainly does seem to be the way. Here's the man who got on pole, won the race last year, Rubens Barrichello, driving his last qualifying lap at the wheel of a Ferrari. It really is a weekend of goodbyes, a weekend of partnerships ending and breaking up. Ferrari leaving, Barrichello leaving Ferrari, Williams and BMW going their own separate ways. There are many up and down the paddock. A lot of old faces will be disappearing. Formula One, the real sense that it's turning a page into a new chapter in 2006. This has not been a happy episode for Ferrari in 2005. But what's been interesting again this weekend in Shanghai, just as last year, is that Barrichello has been quicker than Michael Schumacher throughout practice. I don't know what it is about this racetrack. There have been 1 or 2 over the years where Barrichello's always had the edge on Michael. The A1 ring springs to mind. Monza is another that always springs to mind, but he's got him on this track for sure.
Yeah, and Michael's been off the road too, just to demonstrate he's trying hard enough. But Montoya's best then a 1:35.1 in the moment, which is a full 9/10 clear of second place, man. Can Barrichello pop himself anywhere near there as he comes down to the hairpin? Can he get the nose in? Yes, he does. He just kisses the apex nicely. 1 corner to go then.
Well, he's on target to be around about the same place as Jarno Trulli, currently second on a low 1:36. It's been a good lap from Rubens Barrichello. His final for Ferrari. He pops in second, ahead of Jarno Trulli. Fastest man of anybody in the final sector so far. Some signs of encouragement there. Felipe Massa will be next out in a moment. Qualifying for the final Grand Prix of 2005 and the final Grand Prix of Peter Sauber's long Formula One career.
Over rev on, Felipe. Over rev on.
Little message to Massa about over rev. It's Massa's last run out for the Sauber team. He's moving to Ferrari next year, the golden opportunity of his career. Only 3 points finishes so far this season. He's a point behind Jacques Villeneuve in the championship.
Yeah, they've been relatively nip and tuck, haven't they, in terms of outright performance. I don't really know what over rev means, whether that's a coded word to change some of the settings or whether he's already buzzed. You can't really buzz a Formula One engine anymore. The computer won't let you downshift if it's going to rev it. So unusual thing to say to him going down the pit straight there. Massa with a hot out lap, because I think these Michelins get better on lap 2 or 3. So they'll be giving it full bananas on the out lap whenever they can.
For those of you just joining us, Juan Montoya is fastest ahead of Rubens Barrichello and Jarno Trulli. Pitsonia is 4th for BMW Williams. Teammate to Felipe Massa, Jacques Villeneuve, is qualified in 6th place at the moment. The reference a 1:36.788. And what we've seen certainly in the first half hour of qualifying here in Shanghai is that the track is not giving the grip that it did during the free practice sessions. All of the lap times are slower than they were this morning. There's also quite a strong wind here in Shanghai, so difficult driving conditions for everybody.
Well, he's got a chance to pop this in front of Trulli in the Toyota. He's currently P3. He was about 7/10 up on his teammate in the first 2 sectors, was Massa over Villeneuve. Here comes the line, and he does go P3. Gets it into the 1:35s. I think he'll be moderately satisfied with that.
Team like it. And here is Christian Klien. Now, Red Bull Racing have been fast throughout free practice, particularly in the hands of David Coulthard. He's looked stronger than Klien all weekend. Into one we go. See, it goes on forever. You feel the corner's never going to end. Pitches them all out wide there into 2. Just trying to keep the car under him. Oh. Massive bite of opposite lock.
Yeah, he got it wrong. He hooked it up on too much of his front wheel over the inside of the curb, the sawtooth curb, and it just pulled the front right round, and the back couldn't cope with it. So if you're going to do that, you've got to put both wheels over. And another corner where he's wide, clean, with a very scruffy lap so far.
Yeah, we've seen some strong qualifying laps from him of late. Certainly in Brazil, one of the best laps of the year, but this isn't one of them. Car not doing what he wants it to do. Look at the indicators, the revs, the big counter, the gear indicator, the throttle, working the throttle, just feathering it, then flat as he goes out down the short chute. 18,500 RPM before he hits the brakes. And then this long. Listen to the throttle now. Ages before he could put the power down, wasn't it?
Traction control still clicking away. Now he can straighten it up, and look how long that straightens. You can nowhere near see the hairpin at the end of it. You're just listening to the engine screaming, vibrations coming through the car, and you're just picking a spot and bang, hit the brake pedal. Is it going to slow down? Yes. Turn the nose in, and he was still on the brake pedal as he turned the wheel. Therefore, he snatched the right front. This is not one of Christian Klien's final laps, to say the least.
Up onto the rumble strip. Did you hear the vibration there? Let's imagine how it feels to the driver through the wheel. 6th fastest for Christian Klien. Slower than Pitsonia, but faster than Kartikeyan.
There you see, he hooked it. It's like a railway line. He hooked the front over the curb, but not the rear. It's not going to work when you do that. Now we'll see it from another angle. Look, the front goes and grabs the inside of the curb, and it just pulls the front into the corner, and the back can't stay with it. He has to counter steer, and he ends up walking the car wide.
Is he just a little bit too greedy there, just trying to get something?
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you've got to go completely over the curb with both wheels.
Ralf Schumacher then, Toyota teammate Jarno Trulli, currently 4th fastest on a 1:36.0, almost a second slower than the pace man at the moment, Juan Pablo Montoya. Now, Ralf Schumacher prefers this B-spec Toyota. He finds it in a better qualifying car. It's much more responsive in the steering, he finds, but here in Shanghai, they've not been on the pace particularly.
Well, he's near enough at the moment, under 2/10 down on Montoya, who's a half-second clear of second fastest man Barrichello. So Ralf with a good chance to out-qualify his teammate Trulli's down his 4th at the moment. If he can keep it in all the right places in the final part of the lap, and he's pushing hard.
He is pushing hard, Ralf Schumacher. Stronger end to the season than it's been earlier on. He was the 2nd fastest man in sectors 1 and 2. No, both sectors. He's 2nd fastest man. So on target very much to come P2 at the moment to split Montoya and Rubens Barrichello, with another 7 cars to come. Been a good lap so far for Ralf Schumacher. Let's see how he handles it under braking. Rush of sound as the car is sucked towards the apex of the hairpin, launching it out again.
Well, he didn't wear the tarmac out on the apex when he got there, unfortunately, because he missed it, but he got away with it just about. It cost him a 10th or 2. Over the line he goes, and he does drop down into 3rd, so the hairpin cost him, and I'm surprised he didn't stay on the right-hand side. I think.
Yes, well done. P3, RPM 12, safe fuel.
I think.
Was such a bad. Oh, so much understeer. Out of turn 13, I had to lift twice.
That's the long right-hander onto the back straight. He's saying, I had to lift twice and compromise my speed. Ted, what can you tell us?
Yeah, and I tell you what, that's really bad news, because Ralf was saying that this car just picks up more and more understeer as the tyres get older. And they already built a bit of oversteer into the car for this quali to try and counteract that. But if he's saying that, wow, well, tomorrow in the race, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think if I was sitting watching this in the pits, I'd be putting a degree of front wing on my car. Because and look at Michael Schumacher already off the road in turn 1, exit of 1 into 2, and he's hardly got up and running yet.
His 232nd Grand Prix in total, 163rd for Ferrari, and by far the worst year he has had at the wheel of a red car. His first sector on this lap almost identical to Rubens Barrichello, fractionally faster. But as I was saying before, he's been slower than his teammate all through the free practice session. He seemed to go quite wide into turn 2, did Michael Schumacher, and he's been off the road a couple of times this weekend. He certainly went off last year in qualifying, do you remember? Turn 1, flew off the road and started the Grand Prix from the pit lane. He's doing a better job this year, though.
I wonder if he swears in English or German, because he would have been swearing in turn 1 for sure. And, he really got that horribly wrong, but he's doing, as usual, a good amount of damage limitation.
Well, he certainly saved it for qualifying day. At the moment, he's on target to go faster than Rubens Barrichello. If he can not make the mistake that his brother made, and several others have made as well, of getting this wrong, this braking for the hairpin. Such a huge part of the art of a Grand Prix driver is actually, ironically, getting the thing to slow down. It's not always about just getting it to go quickly. How much time you lose in that braking, absolutely vital. Michael Schumacher, then, the most experienced man in the field, launches it at the line. Is he faster than Barrichello? Yes, he is. Fastest final sector of anybody so far for the great 7-time champion. The crowd like that. He is currently second fastest.
We have to say, I think he could have gone faster without that problem in the first corner. He could have gone faster. He's a man who seems very confident this weekend. Coulthard's been driving well and seems pretty chipper about his car. I wonder how he'll feel at the end of this lap, though, because the track has changed.
Well, if Schumacher's lap's anything to go by, it's getting faster. That could be good news for David Coulthard, who is the fastest non-McLaren or Renault so far in free practice. So an opportunity here for Coulthard, who's had a strong season and is having a strong end to it as well. Outstanding at Suzuka last weekend. Can he have an outstanding weekend here in China as well? First sector, a 25.5. That compares very favourably with the Ferrari. He is faster than Michael Schumacher after one sector.
Yeah, I think he'll be expecting to be ahead of the Ferrari, certainly after free practice, though Michael has pulled a bit of a good lap out of the bag despite that critical error. And these corners are important here, because one leads very much, the exit of one is the entry to the next, and that means you really get a double penalty if you get it wrong. And there's a lot of grip in the braking zone there. Get the nose in, DC, straighten it up, give it a squirt, go to the outside, feed the throttle in, minimise the traction control. Has he got any understeer? No, he can hang on to it full throttle. That was where Ralph said he had to lift. So it's looking okay for David Coulthard. It's looking sort of P2, P3 at the moment, isn't it?
Yep, certainly got a great chance of going second fastest. Michael Schumacher was the quickest man so far in the final sector. Can Coulthard improve on that? It's been a good lap for Coulthard. All the problems with grip we saw with some of the early runners seem to be going away now. Maybe the track is starting to get a little faster. Coulthard for the line for P2 or 3. He goes P3, falls behind Michael Schumacher. The team like it nevertheless. Christian Horner there, the young man who's managed this team.
Good job, David. P3, P3.
I think DC will be reasonably happy with that. He'll be surprised to be behind Michael Schumacher, but second ahead of his teammate and solid. And Luis has found Felipe Massa.
Your teammate said he was having all sorts of problems with the car. How did you find it?
Well, actually, I had these kind of problems this morning. I couldn't have a good balance on new tires, and we worked a little bit in the car, and it was really a good balance now on the qualifying. So I was really happy because we could find the balance, and I'm pretty much sure we have a good car for the race and good strategy as well.
Well, we've certainly seen BAR be very strong in qualifying, less so in the races of late, particularly when the car is refueled. The weight goes up. Understeer has been the big problem, the car wanting to push on in the corners, and that's something that Jenson has definitely asked the team to dial out of the car for next year. He wants a much more positive front end, both in qualifying and the race, if they're going to challenge for race wins. Well, you're right, Martin, a 10th up already on Montoya in the first sector.
Yeah, and he's driving beautifully. I just love the way he applies the throttle. He minimises the traction controls, almost like he doesn't need it. He should be one of the drivers fighting for traction control to be banned, because he's got a way of just feeling the power, feeling the right quantity of power to put in at any time. And this looks pretty tidy. Dan the sort of back straight that's halfway through the lap, and he's now 0.2 of a second up. Button looking good.
Certainly is looking good. They've not been particularly fast in free practice, but Jenson's ability in qualifying seems to be coming through again. The car is under him. He's driving it beautifully, and as Martin said, he has a great chance of going faster than Juan Montoya, who was the second man to go out here this afternoon. The track has definitely improved since then. There are 4 more cars to come after this one, so this is for top 3 rows on the grid, possibly better for Jenson Button, maybe even front 2 rows of the grid. Let's see. Across the line he goes. Jenson Button in his 100th Grand Prix sticks it on provisional pole by almost 0.4 of a second.
Great stuff, Jenson. P1 by well over 0.3. Mix 1, and Webber is on the back straight.
Jenson mix 1 confirmed.
Great lap.
Yeah, good lap. Mix 1. It means just obviously use as little of that fuel as you can get away with on the lap, whilst not getting in the way of Webber. And Louise has found Mr. Schumacher.
Ralph, your car didn't look that nice to drive.
No, it didn't at all. I mean, it was really difficult to drive. A lot of understeer, oversteer, but I mean, specifically the understeer made it a difficult life for me. I mean, the lap time was still decent, but it could have been a few tenths quicker.
Ralf Schumacher there, talking to Louise Goodman. He's down in 6th place at the moment. Button is fastest. Montoya is 2nd. Michael Schumacher 3rd. Coulthard 4th. Barrichello 5th. And Ralf Schumacher 6th. This is Mark Webber, outstanding in Japan last weekend. He's only 0.8 of a second down on Jenson Button at the moment.
Yeah, and he was on a hot lap. I don't know if you noticed this morning in free practice, James. Then he threw it in the boondocks. So I think we could see something surprising here from Webber. I don't think we saw his true speed this morning.
Well, last few years we've seen where Williams' team have a difficult start to the year and then pick up towards the end. They won the final Grand Prix of 2004, if you remember, in the hands of Juan Montoya in Brazil. No real chance of Williams to win the final Grand Prix of this year, I don't think. But they are finishing slightly stronger than they've been throughout the year. Webber slipping back to 2.5 tenths now behind Button, and he's going to be around about Montoya at this rate.
He must use more fuel than the other drivers. He really hustles the throttle when you're walking around the track, listening to and watching the drivers. Webber is chasing this car all the time. Not sure it's always effective like that. Oh, he's locked the right front. Oh, and he's gone wide in the hairpin. That's cost him 2 or 3 tenths, so that'll compromise what was looking a handy, if not the fastest lap. But it's certainly top 3 rows of the grid was beckoning for Webber. Where's he going to go? Down in 7. Cost him even more than I thought. What a shame. He made a critical error again.
Yep, competitive in the first 2 sectors. Lost half a second in the final sector. He was 8 tenths slower, in fact, than Michael Schumacher, who's still the fastest man in the final sector in the Ferrari. So the chance of being at the front of the grid for the final race of 2005 has gone away from Webber. It's very much there for Alonso. And let's remind ourselves that 2 points separate Renault and McLaren in the constructors. Renault have the advantage, and so it's going to be about Alonso and Fisichella versus Montoya and Raikkonen tomorrow. We now get into that part of the story. Alonso, this man out. Fisichella next, then Raikkonen. We have Montoya currently 2nd.
Yeah, Montoya was 2nd man out. He's done a fantastic job of damage limitation. Alonso 3 tenths up. A new engine in that car, which will pay dividends later on in the race. And I'm super impressed with these Grand Prix teams. Still developing, still hustling and pushing when they're going to bin all this lot after tomorrow night. It's all history, isn't it, the V10s? And they're still developing them right up until the last Grand Prix. Superb.
Yes, after 17 years as the engine of choice in Formula One, the V10 goes after tomorrow night's Grand Prix to be replaced by the V8. Renault pioneered the V10 in Formula One, and how suitable that they should have won the last Drivers' Championship with it, and how suitable they should come here to China with an upgraded engine, 15 horsepower more, much more drivability and versatility for the drivers. And they think it might be a key to tomorrow's race, because Raikkonen's on the 2nd race with his engine, the same engine he used in Japan. He's had a fair share of engine changes this year. Alonso, this has been a fabulous lap from the man of the year, as far as I'm concerned, Fernando Alonso. This is going to go and put Jenson Button back by a place, but what will happen afterwards? 7 tenths faster. Fernando Alonso, a 34.0. Wonderful lap by him. And that's thrown down the gauntlet to Fisichella and Raikkonen.
Nice lap.
I'll take you around with Fizzy. He's given us a bit of space, but he's reasonably close.
And wonderful, wonderful lap. He's just been released, hasn't he? Now he's got that championship in his pocket. Ted has further news.
They love that down in the Renault garage, and that's amazing because they've had to build some understeer into this car. Renault found that the tyres, as they wear down, it's giving this car oversteer. So that lap has been done with a touch of understeer.
Well, they're hitting 338 kilometres an hour down the back straight. That's almost 210 miles an hour, the Renault. The fastest car in a straight line here. This is Fisichella. His morale has got to be as low as a snake's belly after losing in the final lap to Kimi Raikkonen in Japan. And how do Renault pick him up off the floor, give him some confidence, because he's got to go out and deliver a big performance here this weekend if they're to do the double and win the Constructors' Championship. So far, as for the season as a whole, not able to match Fernando Alonso in the first sector.
Yeah, he was. We were at a party on the Sunday night after Tokyo, after Suzuka, and he had his face, his chin was on the ground. He knows he should have won that race last weekend, but he can make amends if he can support the team this weekend and get the job done. He's the fastest man in the middle sector, so he's coming back at Alonso's current provisional pole, and he's got an 0.8 of a second gap to slot into between Alonso and Button, who's currently third. Raikkonen yet to drive, of course.
Yep. So I'm sure that he will want to slot into that. He'll be looking at the delta times on his steering wheel. Button is currently second fastest, Montoya third. It's vitally important that Fisichella is in front of Montoya on the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. McLaren knew that Montoya was going to go out early and have a slow track. They will have adjusted the strategy accordingly. So will Renault to counter it. Fisichella goes second. It's a Renault 1-2 at the moment, with Jenson Button in third place, Montoya in fourth, and that leaves just Kimi Raikkonen, the man who was already 6 times this season, started pole position 9 times in his career, and the stage is now set, really, for the man who many consider the fastest single-lap driver in Formula One to weave his magic.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, though, with the 2 Renaults getting the job done. Whether the team have chosen to tell him that, I don't know, but that is wildly wide, really, on the exit of 2 there. So he'll be a little bit shaken up by that. A lot of work to do for Raikkonen. I don't think he lost a lot of time, but that's not where he would have ideally wanted to have been on the racetrack. He's 2 tenths down, look. Oh, and another problem then, down at the far end.
This is looking good for Renault at the moment. This is just what they wanted. All season long, they put pressure on McLaren, who've had a faster car, really, since round 3 of the World Championship. But it's been that pressure, that relentlessness of Renault that's kept McLaren on their toes. McLaren have had engine failures. Raikkonen has lost the championship for all kinds of reasons like that. And here again, in the final round, Renault taking the fight to McLaren. And Alonso, the world champion, is 2 tenths up on Raikkonen. He's got to find something miraculous, really, in the final sector if he is to claim his 7th pole of the season. It doesn't look to me like he's going to have much of a chance to do it. Fisichella recovering to the pits will not get into his way.
Yeah, Fizzy will have to get on with it, though, otherwise he'll be deemed to have distracted Raikkonen. But Raikkonen's got to attack this hairpin, and he's got a lot of oversteer on the way in, and again struggling. It's the slow corners that have caught him out in this lap, but he needed something special in that final hairpin, and it didn't look that special to me. We'll find out shortly. Over the line he goes, and P3 it is. Too many errors in the slow corners. The first Renault 1-2 since 2003, Malaysia 2003.
We remember that race because that was when Fernando Alonso got his first ever pole position, the youngest ever pole sitter. And they love it, the people who've travelled all the way from Asturias region in Spain. Flavio Briatore there, the boss of Renault, and that is Alonso's 6th pole of 2005 and the 9th of his career, and gives Renault a tremendous platform to go out and try and win the Constructors tomorrow, with McLaren 3rd in the form of Kimi Raikkonen and 5th in the form of Juan Montoya. This is going to be a tremendous scrap, a straight fight between these 2 teams. Strategy will obviously play a huge part in it, though.
Yeah, Brits did a good job too. Button 4th, Coulthard 7th. They're looking strong for the Grand Prix. And, well, that's going to be a thriller, isn't it? The McLaren did not look hooked up on the single lap stuff. The Renault was blindingly fast down the back straight. I thought Kine did very well too, in 15th place for the Jordan, ahead of a Sauber and a BAR Honda and the rest of the Jordans and Minardis. But really, Renault took the fight to McLaren and, well, dominated it really, didn't they?
Bringing the upgraded engine, 15 more horsepower, has pushed them down the straight nicely. Well, the last time Renault were 1-2 on the grid, believe it or not, Kimi Raikkonen won his first Grand Prix. It was a reversal. Will we have a reversal tomorrow? Whatever happens, it's going to be a titanic scrap.
Fernando, first all Renault front row of the season with the World Constructors' Championship in the balance. A good start to the weekend.
Yeah, it's a perfect start for us. I think qualifying has been quite good for us. Actually, I think we have a good strategy for tomorrow as well. So I'm a little bit surprised to be on the pole position. But, you know, the car was perfect all weekend. We didn't use, obviously, the full power until now in quali. And the result is this, fantastic package we found out here in China, and we are on the first row.
Well, you showed your pace, of course, in Japan. This is a continuation of that. You're, in terms of fastest lap, right there with Kimi and Suzuka.
Yeah, as I said there, I think I had quite a competitive car in Suzuka, equal to McLaren maybe. I'm ready to fight with them. I had another possibility, so hopefully tomorrow I can have a chance to fight with them for the victory.
And for the first time this year, an engine that only has to do one Grand Prix. How does that feel?
It feels great at the moment. We have a new spec here, and everything has been very positive all weekend. All the tests we did with this engine also were really positive. So, you know, for tomorrow, full of confidence, all the team.
Congratulations. Giancarlo, congratulations to you too. As I say, the first all Renault front row of the season, reflecting the speed of the car now since Japan.
Yeah, it's good. Honestly, I was struggling a little bit with the car balance yesterday and this morning. Then we made a couple of changes even for the qualifying session, and I guess I can say it was better definitely. And first row for both Renaults is very good, very promising for tomorrow. You know, we are fighting for the championship constructor, and we're ready for that. So we'll do our best. We are in a good position, and we'll do for it.
Virtually identical to Fernando, sectors 2 and 3, a little bit slower in sector 1.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit conservative in turn 1. I made a small mistake in turn 2. Then the rest of the lap was quite good, so I'm happy about that, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow.
We look forward to. Kimi, how was your lap? Looked as if you had a little bit of a problem under braking at the first tight right-hander, turn 4, I think it was.
Yeah, the car was not exactly perfect, but I think so. It has been very good all weekend. So we had a little bit difficulties to get the tires working on straight away, but for sure in the race it's gonna be good. So I think so. We're gonna be very strong in the race. So I'm not too worried about it.